G'day humans, Chris Stead here. In today's video we're going to compare the 2025 just released or just about to release Sony Bravia 5 Mini LED 4K TV with the 2024 Sony Bravia 7 QLED Mini LED 4K TV. Now, I was at the Sony launch event in Sydney, Australia, where they presented both TVs, and in this video you'll see them side by side. First, I'm going to take you through a presentation from Sony where they're going to compare the two TVs, tell you about the different specs and features between the two and where they sit in the overall range. So sit through that presentation, you'll learn a little bit about that, and then I will do a more zoned in side by side so you can see the TVs in more detail than you can during the presentation, where I had to sit back a little bit because obviously I was in a presentation. Now I've done my best to just leave the footage as it was raw captured. If you've just seen the video I put up between the Bravia 8 and Bravia 8 II, there's been a few complaints about the exposure and so forth on that. Look, I've deliberately left it as the raw footage because it's a relative comparison between the two TVs. It wasn't the greatest filming environment. It was quite a reflective backdrop, a view out over Sydney Harbour. That played a little bit of havoc, and also the different brightness in the two TVs. It's set in storm mode, so it's particularly bright, and that plays a little bit of havoc. Now, I could have gone in and stuffed around, and done some alterations to the video, but that I don't think would have that would have been a little bit deceitful, I believe. So I just want to leave it as the raw footage, but I think it's come out all right, and it will give you a relative difference between the two TVs. So stick with it. Now, just a few details. I'm going to put the prices for the two TVs up on the screen now. The Bravia 5 will hit the Australian market in May 2025 for all variants except the 98-inch. That's going to come out in July 2025. I'm not sure if that's going to be replicated overseas, but that's what the Australian release dates are. And in terms of the prices, looking at the Sony website right now as of April 13, 2025, look, there's very little difference between the Bravia 7 and the Bravia 5 in terms of pricing. Marginal, depends on the size, but yeah, very interesting there. I thought how comparable they are. All right, anyway, let's jump in and have a listen to that presentation and then stick with it or jump ahead, and you can see a direct side-by-side comparison with no one standing and talking to you in between. All right, I'm Chris Ed. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, make sure you keep an eye on the channel because as well as a bunch of Sony videos I'm going to put up from this presentation. I've just come from a similar LG presentation, so there's a lot of videos going up about LG. I've got Samsung coming up in a couple of weeks as well, so there's going to be plenty coming up on TVs. I'll put a link to the playlist in the description below as well. If you want to jump on that, you'll be able to just get a direct feed, or you can of course subscribe and it'll get served straight to you when it gets launched on my channel. All right, let's go.
The first product that we'll touch on is the most important product that we have this year, which is the Bravia 5 Mini LED. So from a value plus performance, that's really where this sort of intersects. And so this is the best TV for the most amount of people in the market. It replaces all the same screen sizes from our previous full array, X90L, 55 all the way through to a massive 98-inch. Now this has a few trickle-down technologies. One of those trickle-down technologies is the stand design. Now the stand design is what's known as our underlay stand, and that allows us to put any of our sound bars on top of the stands of this TV. So it doesn't matter what size you buy of this TV, all of our sound bars will fit underneath, as you can see there. So the new sound bars have these feet that you can install, these rubberized feet, and they actually sit above the stand, so there's no vibrations or anything like that. It's a perfect pairing, as you can see there. This particular TV has two stand positions. So one is a low set position if you don't plan to have a soundbar, but if you do plan to put a soundbar underneath, any of our soundbars fit underneath without blocking the IR port. But of course, all of our remotes are Bluetooth as well. So as mentioned, this replaces the X90L in our range, which is a full array TV, and we go to a Mini LED here. So 4 times the amount of zones, gives us a lot more control over the brightness and contrast of the picture, and we have that trickle-down technology of the XR Backlight Master Drive. So with that, it's both processor-led, but also it's very responsive. So whatever's happening on the screen, it will be reflected instantaneously on the backlighting system as well. So you don't have the backlighting system delayed with what's occurring on the screen. So this is our new perfect for PlayStation TV. All your HDMI 2.1 ports, being HDMI 3 and 4, 4K 120, variable refresh rate, audio low latency modes, they all start with the Bravia 5 onwards. So with that, I just wanted to showcase the Backlight Master Drive system, and as you can see, quite a tight array, so we can really effectively get the contrast and colors that we need on the screen as you're watching. So this is the general lineup. You'll also have a lineup chart to take home as well. We go from our previous flagship processor, the X1 4K HDR processor, and then as we move up to the Bravia 5, now everything is XR. So XR from Bravia 5 onwards. So the XR processor, its job is to really create a special source. All of our color science, all the responsiveness of the hardware comes from that processor. And you'll see here all of the contrast controls come from this as well. So our lineup is pretty easy to understand. We just increase the contrast in color and brightness as you go through the range. So with the Bravia 5, contrast boost to 10, move up to the Bravia 7, you're doubling that contrast, and then as you're going up to the Bravia 9, you're adding another 50% on top as well. So for customers, they can really tell the difference. And to actually showcase that difference, we're going to play the same content on all the TVs. And typically at shopfront, they'll play the same content. So customers going into a store can actually tell the difference between the units and make an informed buying decision on picture quality alone. So Tim's going to switch it across to what we use at shopfront, which is known as the demo app. Typically, we've got a lot of real content on here. So things that people watch at home, movies, TV shows. We license a lot of content from our partners to show at shopfront. And even with real content, you'll be able to see a very concrete difference in the brightness and the colors that each TV can display.
These also on store mode?
So these are all in store mode, correct, yeah. So I'll switch across to our contrast demo. And you guys have probably seen this in the past as well. We've got here the good, better, best story. So I'll just pause that. And with the good, better, best story, you'll see with the direct LED, we don't have any control over the backlighting system. It's always on. So whilst we can be really nice and bright, we can't turn off the panel where we need to. When we move to our Mini LED technology, we can really turn off the screen and amp up the brightness in different parts of the screen to create that contrast. And then moving up to the Bravia 7, this is where we can even go harder, much more brightness, much more color intensity. So we typically show that through these demos, brightness and contrast demos that we've got. And again, it's pretty obvious when you're sort of moving up the range from a picture quality standpoint. When it comes to color, it really helps when you're looking at things that you know what it's supposed to look like. So here we've got skin tone, and you can see the skin tone and color warp changes when you're moving from Mini LED to a QLED Mini LED in the Bravia 7. So it is the good, better, best, as we saw before. So that translates to more natural skin tones, but as you can see here, it also works from a color depth perspective. So you can see the amount of depth of color between all of them. So if you're a customer and picture quality is your #1 priority, these demonstrations allow you to see what you're getting in every screen size and every TV.
Daniel, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
When a consumer's standing there in the store and they see Mini LED and they see QLED Mini LED, what should they think is the difference with QLED?
So QLED Mini LED really just means for a customer a little bit more color depth and brightness. From a technical point of view, that's because there's less filter layers. You have a blue primary backlight and the red and the green filter layers, where with Mini LED you've got a white backlight and you have to filter a lot more colors. So this can be a lot brighter and have a lot more color volume. But for consumers, without that technical knowledge, they'll be able to see that as, okay, one's a 5, one's a 7, 7's the bigger number, that means a better TV for Sony. All right, so that is the demonstrations for our demo app. We'll do that later.
They're all 4K TVs, right? Or is that an 8K on the
So
LED?
we haven't done 2K TV in a long time. All of our TVs are 4K.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have any current 8Ks in the market. Yeah. So not since the Z9F by memory.
No, it was the Z9K. Or did we not bring that in show?
G, I think was the
It's
last
been a
one.
while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And why is that? Why no 8K?
We want to produce the best TVs for the most amount of people, and the market is all 4K. So all the content that you watch is 4K, and it doesn't really, like, yes, people talk about the upscale story, but you're never going to get something that's 4K and blow it up 4 times the size and make it look better. And so the content's just not there. And until the content is there, it doesn't really make sense for people to be spending a huge amount more, premium, for the quality that they're not going to see, essentially.
Do you want to show the motion demo?
Oh yes, motion demo. So we're talking about PlayStation 5, or perfect for PlayStation 5. That now starts with Bravia 5. We play this demo in store. Essentially, it's showcasing that some TVs are better for motion than others. When we have the 4K 120, variable refresh rate, auto latency modes, we can really get amazing motion on our TVs. And it's geared towards that. But even still, you'll be able to see, because the Bravia 7 is brighter and our eyes see more color with brightness, you do see the difference in image quality there as well between the Bravia 5 and the 7 when it comes to motion. So if you guys focus on the colors and the trees, and you'll be able to see as well here with the tiles on the roof, comparing all 3 TVs.
Is it 60 or 120 frames a second? It's pretty smooth.
So the TVs will go 100 to 200, but typically content in Australia, you're looking at, most services will either do 30 to 60 frames a second. Stan Sports 4K Champions League is 4K 60 frames a second, for example, whilst most stuff that you're watching on Netflix, true to the creator's intent, is either 24 or 25 frames a second, unless it's a TV show, which it's basically 30 or 29.94.
Yeah, I think the frame rates are more for gamers,
For the demo,
Yeah.
for the demo here, I
not
just
so
want
much
to use that.
TV broadcast.
Oh, this is 60.
Oh, it's 60. Okay.
Yeah. So this is 4K 60 Sport. One of the things that we, especially when it comes to consideration of which TV to purchase, typically because that's a 100 Hertz panel, Sport is absolutely fine for the Bravia 3. So for customers, they're looking at either their budget, picture quality, or screen size. And if their budget and screen size are the consideration, they want to get the biggest screen size for the least amount of budget, Bravia 3 is absolutely fantastic for sports in that regard. So you'll see 85-inch, we've got a lot of 85-inch TVs in the market, Bravia 3, 5, 7, large screen sizes all the way up to 85-inch, and also the Bravia 9 is that 85-inch story as well. Yeah. All right, we'll head back to the presentation. So the other thing that we want to sort of touch on is, and I won't spend a huge amount of time on TV sound, but TV sound is a consideration when purchasing a TV. And it's almost the same consideration, TV sound and TV sound codecs. So if you are going for a Bravia 3, you get 20 watts, 2 channels. But with the Bravia 5 and the 7, they have the exact same sound setup. So you're basically getting all the trickle-down technology from the 7 in the 5. Now you double your sound pressure to 40 watts and 2 channel, but more importantly, you're getting all of these other features. So DTSX codecs, for those that like watching Blu-ray content. We also have DTSX on our own Sony Pictures Core. Disney Plus now has DTSX as well. IMAX Enhanced, which is not only a cinema sound codec, but it's also a screen format. So a wider, taller format for your screens. That's on Disney Plus and Sony Pictures Core as well. And these two features, which are quite important, Acoustic Center Sync 2.0 and Voice Zoom 3. So Acoustic Center Sync 2.0 essentially allows us to utilize all the TV sound with our soundbars, so you're not wasting the TV sound. So that's a Sony on Sony benefit. We also have Voice Zoom 3, which we'll demonstrate shortly, but essentially that allows us to use our XR processor to move the sound up and down independent of every other sound channel. So if you're watching the news, you want the best sound experience, or you're having a hard time hearing the voices, you can move that up or down. Now with the Bravia 9, it's a slightly different story. This has almost twice the sound pressure as both those units at 70 watts, and we go to a 2.2.2. So left-right speakers, left-right sub, and also vocal height sound with that particular unit.